welcome back to my channel. How you doing? Hope you're doing very well. Update in my life, not much going on. Actually, I've got 2 concerts coming up and I'm planning because I'm very indecisive about my outfits. No guys, because listen to me for a sec. We'll get into the video in a minute, okay? I've got Guts tour coming up and I've got Eras tour coming up, guys. And when I say this is more stressful than my future wedding, this truly, guys, no, listen, because I've gone through several outfits and I think I finally found the one, truly, but then I never know. What if it's bad? Anyway, no, let's not think about it. This very stressful time, actually, to be honest. Anyway, how are you guys? Hope you're doing very well. Oh, I gotta let you know, in today's video, I think there's no hiding behind the fact that Pretty Little Lies has a lot of unanswered questions and plot holes, and some of them I think you have to kind of use common sense and like answer them yourself, but some of them genuinely don't have an answer and are actually very, very annoying. So I thought today we could sit down, we can talk through them. I might have to do several parts of this because I think I've got 60 written down so far, and there's definitely so many more that I will not mention in the video, so I can always do a part 2 if you guys want me to. But let's get started because we could be here for a while. So I had to write them all down on my phone, and when I tell you, I was typing, I was working, like this took a lot of time. Like, number 1, there is a lot of inconsistencies around Marion's death. Marion is Toby's mom, and we are told that she got pushed off the Radley hotel. No, it's not hotel. It is later on, but not now. Radley Sanatorium roof. Why these people were allowed on the roof, we probably shall never know. And Radley security, you truly never fail to wow me. However, that's what we're told, that Bethany pushed Marion. But we are also told that Wilden helped cover it up. Now, if I get my calculator out, if I get my history A level intact, Wilden and Cece are the same age. So is Wilden a police officer at 12 years old? Because this happened when Cece was, I'm going to say around like 11, 12, let's say. Wilden at this time is not a police officer. He's not able to cover this up. Yet we're told he had help in covering it up and made it look like an S word. So another inconsistency around Marion's death was when she actually died. So we obviously, like I said, we're told that she died when Bethany pushed her off the roof of the Radley Sanatorium. However, later on, we see a flashback of Toby's mom with Toby and Allison when they are teenagers. Yet Cece is older than them. So this doesn't really work out. So Marlene King said in an interview that she did this because she didn't want to do like child actors with Allison and Toby. No, Marlene King, sorry, my love. No, Marlene King, listen. Sometimes you are writing, right? Proper writing, and we were there for it. The good moments, the Dollhouse episodes, you were being paid. Do you know what I mean? However, I'm not taking this answer, I'm afraid, because I think this was an inconsistency. I think it was a plot hole, and I think she realized and she had to say this statement. Because I'm sorry, Marlene King, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. Like, in season 1, episode 1, we see Spencer looking at the dealer in his house, and we see a blonde girl in the window. Now, who was this? Was this a figure of Spencer's imagination? Was this actually Allison? Because that was literally Allison, but it wasn't Allison. So who was that? The next one. How exactly did Maya die? We obviously know that Lyndon killed her, but how did she die? Like, what happened? We, like I said, are told who did it, but we're not really told what happened, where, how he got rid of her body, like that type of thing. I don't know if it was more gruesome to add in there, like not really. Like, we're showing what happened the night that Allison went missing with Jessica burying her alive. So what exactly did happen to Maya? So along with Maya, I think one of my favorite lines in the show was Miss Aria, you're a killer, not Ezra's wife, which stood for Maya knew. The setup of this was so good. Phenomenal. I think to have this included in a mystery is so good. I think the creepiness of it, like Mona being like, Miss Aria, you're a killer, not Ezra's wife, to then have it spell out Maya knew, but we never really got an answer for it. We never really got told, okay, what did Maya know? I think the setup, like I said, of this was really good. The Pretty Little Liars writers, although there are plot holes, when they would build up to something, they would do it very well. The NAT Club, I think, was built up very well. The night Alison went missing, the build up to it was very, very good. But the conclusion of these things were not the best. And I think the Maya news thing could have been so much better than what it was, and I think really could have been involved in Maya's death. And I just did a video talking about Maya's death and her rewrite. I don't know which one's going to go up first, but I said in the video that the way I would have connected Maya new to the story is if she had something to do with knowing that Alison was alive. I think just that little connection would have made the whole thing so good. I love it. Like, the Maya new thing, honest to God, lives in my head rent free. I love it. I think it is so good. In the early seasons of the show, we are shown Jason in like a photography dark room, hanging up photos of Aria asleep. And obviously the mystery is built up over what is Jason doing with these photos, whatever. But we're told that Alison is the one who took these pictures of Aria sleeping. Why would Alison do that? Because it was very creepy. Did she have an obsession with Aria? I think it's assumed throughout the show that Aria was her favorite, so was it an obsession thing? Because these photos were really, really creepy. Why would Alison ultimately want to have these photos and take these photos? Like, what was the reason for that, you know? But also as well, like, what's the reason for Jason developing the photos? Is it just because it's something of Ali's work that he wants to keep? But, like, why would he want to develop these kind of photos? Just because, like, they're very creepy. I know he said he wanted to give them to Aria, but, like, really? When Cece comes into the picture, we are told that Cece had a roommate at UPenn during college. However, at this time, she was actually at Radley, so she wouldn't have a roommate at UPenn. So that doesn't make any sense. Or this is one that actually really frustrates me. Or not frustrates me, but just kind of like plays on my mind a lot. Because the whole thing surrounding Mrs. De Laurentiis' death, we are obviously Mary Drake killed Jessica, but at the time, A sends a video to the girls of A burying Jessica De Laurentiis alive. Now, A at this time was Cece, but the thing is, I feel like this would make no sense because Cece actually really loved Jessica De Laurentiis. They got along really, really well, and she was devastated when Cece found her body like that and found her dead. So I feel like, why would she send this video to the liars and take credit for the death? But I don't think there was any reason for A to have taken responsibility for Jessica's death just because who A was. I don't really think they knew at this point who killed Jessica, so I think that's why they wrote it like that, and it would make sense if they wrote it kind of afterwards. I don't think it makes sense because Cece loved Jessica so much. Maybe it was just like part of the game and to like make the girls more scared or something like that, but that's just one thing that I never really understood, because what was the point in that? Just because she loved her so much. Also, it's obviously confirmed that Cece buried Jessica. Later on, Peter Hastings says that Mary killed and buried Jessica. So which one is that? Which one's the correct answer there? What is the actual timeline of Sarah's kind of story? Because we are told that Cece kidnapped her the day of Labor Day when Alison went missing as well. However, Cece was not A at this point, and she was still in Radley, so she wouldn't have been able to have done it when they said. What was she doing in the time between when she went missing and when she started working with Cece? But also, what is her motive? Because maybe it was, I'm assuming it's kind of like Stockholm syndrome type of thing, and wanting to help kind of her kidnapper get back, or maybe it was like she saw it as the only way to escape. But when she escaped and she got out of the dollhouse, she carried on working with Cece. So I'm not really too sure about that. But what is the actual like timeline? You know, why did Noel help Cece in the dollhouse? Was it to do with money, or what was that about? Because we never really got his motive for doing it. Noel was a really annoying character to me. I've done videos on Noel before. I've spoken about him before, but he's always involved in like the big stories, I feel like, for no reason almost. I don't really get his motive for working in the dollhouse. I don't really get it, apart from money being involved in the situation, especially because like he didn't really have any anger towards the girls at this stage. Like, he had fallen out with a few of them, but I don't think it was enough to warranty him doing what he did in the dollhouse. What was the point of the NAT club? Now, this is one, the NAT club really fascinates me. I've done a video on that if you want to check that out. But the build-up surrounding the NAT club was actually really, really good. I really enjoyed it, kind of the mystery around it. But also, it was really fun when each member of the NAT club was dying one by one, because then it felt like, oh, all of these are like involved with each other, and like they're dying, they're getting out of the ship. Like, A is like targeting these people. So the build up of the NAT club, I really, really loved it. I think the writing was really, really good for it. However, the conclusion of it was very boring. I think the last person to die from the NAT club was Garrett, I'm pretty sure. And after that, I feel like the NAT club never really got spoken about. But I feel like it could have been such a good thing in the story, and I really, really liked the concept. Not what it was as a club, but kind of like the mystery surrounding it, and the members being very mysterious, and the members being very involved in like the story and things like that. Like, I think it is so good, and I'm annoyed at the conclusion. Like, what was the overall point of it, really, you know? So Marlene confirmed in an interview that Ian did S-word on himself. However, I don't believe it, and I don't think it could have been a thing. When he was hanging on the church bell, he looked very dead to me, very lifeless to me. I don't think he could have got off that rope by himself, went somewhere, S-worded himself with a gunshot wound, but also the S-word letter was written by A. So I don't really know how that makes sense. I don't think it's possible, to be honest. I think he died on the bell tower. A took the body, and then A just like staged it. I think that's where I would go with it. But Marlene King, I think you're wrong. I'm sorry. I know you are the writer of the show, but I don't think it could make sense. Another scene that also was very weird to me was, you know, the scene where Jessica gets really mad at Cece and Allison because like they're wearing the same clothes. You did it. We are told that Jessica would buy Allison and Cece the same clothes. Like, when she would buy Allison an outfit, she would buy Cece the same outfit. Yet she got annoyed when they were wearing the same thing. Why are you shocked at that? Because you bought the same outfits. That scene always felt very weird to me because of like just everything that Jessica knew, and because she was helping out Cece. So that one was a very weird one to me. Why did Ren make Cece a visitor's pass to see Mona when she was already at Radley and already visiting Mona for like story times. Ren's involvement to me I'm still like kind of confused about. We know that Cece took the game from Mona because she visited Mona and Radley when she was also in Radley and listened to her stories surrounding A. So I don't really understand why she would have to have a visitor's pass to do it, because she already did it. But also, when she got the visitor's pass, let's say she got out of Radley and she had to have the visitor's pass, did no one recognize her at Radley and be like, you know what, this probably is not a good idea? Another one, and this one frustrates me because I think it could have been so good. Eddie Lamb, okay? I feel like there's a couple surrounding him. First of all, he said that he knew Arya from somewhere, recognized Arya from somewhere. Where did he know her from? We never got an answer for that. He drops that line, added some mysterious thing to the show, and then left, because that's my other point. Where did Eddie Lamb go? I'm very intrigued by Eddie Lamb. I think he knew a lot more than what he could say, but the thing surrounding Arya and him recognizing Arya is very interesting to me, just because I'm a diehard Arya should be a stan. I was there back in the day, and I'm still here now. I feel like him recognizing her and then her being A would have been so cool for the story. I would have loved it. But we never really got an answer for how he knew Arya, where he knew her from. Did Jason actually see Cece that night that Alicent went missing? And also, if he did, why were there 3 people wearing the same outfit? So we are told through a flashback that Jason saw Cece and Melissa talking the night that Alice went missing, but then Cece later on is like, oh no, that never happened, and like that's all we got told surrounding it. But I feel like this is like a key part in the night, and is it true or not? Because I kind of come to the conclusion that Jason was high and maybe saw something that wasn't there. But I feel like them zooming in on this and focusing on this and saying it in the first place means that she was there that night. I kind of believe Jason, to be honest, more than I believe Cece regarding that situation. But it also wouldn't have made sense because 3 people would have been wearing that outfit, and I don't think 3 versions of that outfit were a thing that night. So who pushed that girl down the stairs at the party? Because we are told that Alicent got Cece kicked out of college because of that situation. However, later on, we're told that Ren was actually the one who pushed the girl down the stairs. So which one is it? Because it can't be 2 people. And then also, how was Cece able to go to that party when she was at Radley? Now listen, I understand Radley's security is not the best. I get it. But like, it doesn't make sense. She's supposed to be at Radley. She's supposed to be locked up. She's out just like free whenever she wants to. No, come on, because this doesn't make any sense. What was Alicent's relationship to Bethany, and why did they make it seem so important? This is why I think all the theories were what they were surrounding Alicent and Bethany and how they were linked. They really focus on the fact that Alicent knew Bethany and would like interact with her here and there. And the importance of that friendship was like focused on quite a lot during the show. However, I think it kind of came to nothing, but also I don't actually think Alicent did know Bethany, because then I feel like everything would be solved a lot earlier than what it was. We know that I think Bethany knew who Alicent was, but I'm just not sure if Alicent knew who Bethany was in that regard. How did Alicent's The Jenna Thing bracelet end up on Bethany's body? Interesting. Mona knew that Alicent was alive, and the only one I guess who could have planted it was Cece maybe, but Cece would have seen that the body was Bethany, not Alicent, and Alicent was alive. So how did that whole situation happen? Jenna said that Wilden saw Alicent that night. However, in Alicent's versions of events, we're not told that. So did that really happen?
Or was Jenna just like playing around, making it up, like the mischievous person that she is? Why were Jenna and Shauna afraid of Melissa? I feel like Jenna and Shauna would be able to hold their own backs. Like, they're characters who are like very strong individuals and wouldn't get scared by Melissa. I think they knew Melissa was an A, and I think they knew that Melissa didn't kill Allison. So why were they actually scared? Like, what was the threat that Melissa posed to these girls? Because I don't understand what it could be. Why didn't Cece just be friends with Jason rather than date him? Cece obviously knew that they were related, so why wasn't she just like, let's be best friends rather than date? I know she said nothing really happened between them, but like, I still find it very creepy, that whole situation. So why didn't she just like, if she wanted to be in contact with Jason and her family, why didn't she just be friends with him like a friend from high school? Who did Arya stab with the screwdriver? When this happened, I was looking out for like who it could be, because we're shown that Lucas has a bit of a limp, so I guess we're left to assume that it's Lucas. However, Lucas was not one of the Queen of Hearts that wanted to kill Arya. It was Melissa and Wilden, but I didn't see Melissa limping or have a stab wound, and neither did Wilden. So who actually did she stab? Was Lucas actually there? Did he know that those two were the Queen of Hearts? Was he involved somehow? In season 7, episode 10, it's the episode where Alex shoots Spencer and we find out that Mary is her mom. Why was Mary there? Did she know that Alex was there? Was she speaking to Alex? Because I don't think there's any sense for Mary to be there. Who did Mona, Jenna and Shauna meet in, what episode is it? Season 5, episode 5. We're led to believe that they're meeting someone. Who is that? Who did they meet? Come on, let's not leave this in suspense, because I want to know. This is also another one that plays on my mind quite a lot. Why did Cece frame Allison for Mona's murder if she loved Allison? Because Cece's whole motive for being A was that the girls said that they felt better that Allison was gone. They felt more free, and that's why she wanted to become A. She loved Allison very, very much. However, A at the time was Cece and framed her for Mona's murder. Why would she do that? If she loved Allison like we're told and we're led to believe, why would she frame her for that murder and get her locked away? It doesn't make any sense, because if she didn't plan for Allison to be in the dollhouse, so she knew that Allison wasn't in danger, and she knew, because obviously she was A, she was not in any danger. So it's not a thing of like, oh, she wanted to keep Allison out of the way, because she would have been able to do the dollhouse with Allison free. So why was that ever a thing?
You know the ghost girl that's in the Halloween episode with like Ashley? What was the significance of that? But also, why was Ashley the only one able to see her? I remember when this episode came out, the theories surrounding this was so good. Talking about like Hannah having a twin, or Ashley having like a long lost child or something like that. I remember the theories were so good. And obviously, I think they're trying to do the whole twin thing, like twin foreshadowing thing. But the fact that only Ashley could see her, I think, was very interesting. Obviously, they were trying to keep on theme with like the Halloween stuff. But I feel like with Pretty Little Liars, something like that, you can't just like, oh, it's just for Halloween. Like, I feel like that held some significance. So what was the point of that? But also, why was Ashley like the only person that was able to see her? How did Toby become a police officer in 3 days? And by my, I'm not an expert in becoming a police officer. But I feel like, and I could be wrong, I feel like to become a police officer, it would take more than a week. And that's just me assuming. So how did that happen? But also, Toby had convictions on his record. How would he be able to become a police officer with these convictions? I know there's police in real life who have convictions and become police officers. But that's my whole point. Why? Why did Eddie and Ren not really like each other?
Eddie said that when Ren came to Radley, it was all for the wrong reasons. So they have a bit of beef there. They have a bit of tension. Let me know what it is. I would love to sit down with Eddie Lamb and have a conversation with him. There's so many things that he does that I'm like, oh, that's going to have importance, and like never does. So what was like the actual issue between these two? Because like they were beefing the whole time. Like, and then I remember Eddie Lamb said something about Ren, and then like he went missing. Like he just left the show. So I feel like that could have held some importance if Ren was like or like involved in that type of situation. But like that kind of came to nothing in the end. Remember the scene where Ren was like coloring in the red coat and like talking to someone on the phone? Who was he talking to? And was the person he was coloring in supposed to be someone that we know? What led Ezra to believe that Mrs. De Laurentiis was A? I think we're left to assume. I think he finds some things out about Bethany and Mrs. De Laurentiis' connection. But I think he more assumed that Mrs. De Laurentiis killed Allison. But he came to the conclusion that Mrs. De Laurentiis was A. So where did that come from? What was the evidence to back that up? And what kind of led him to believe that? Like, I would have been so interested to find out his reasoning for it. But I think, assume that he thinks Jessica killed Allison. But what was the A situation about? At one point during the show, someone is living like underneath the De Laurentiis like house. Who was that? Was that Cece? Was it Alex? Was it someone else? Who was living there? Because I thought we were going to find out, but I think we're left to assume that it was Cece. But I would love to know like an actual reveal, like who was that and how long have they been there? Was that how they knew everyone's secrets and things that were going on? That would have been really interesting to delve into. Marlene King stated that the black like veil character was Endgame. So does that mean Sarah Harvey was Endgame or like what? Because I'm really confused regarding that. I think that character could have been so good. Imagine if it was like Melissa, or I don't even know, but like someone better than Sarah, I think would have been so good and added so much to the story and just made a few more connections with characters and stories and their involvements in stuff and things like that. But to have Sarah as that character was very underwhelming because it was like, well, okay. Like, we know that Sarah and Cece were working together. Like, there's really, like, no surprise there, to be honest. Marlene also confirmed that Wilden was working alone. Yet, on the Halloween train, there was 2 people. And there was confirmed to be 2 people. It was Melissa and Wilden. So, was he working alone? Or did he have help? Because now I'm just confused. When Shauna died, did her family just like not want an investigation into what happened? Or like what was going on there? Because Shauna was obviously murdered by Arya. I guess you could say it was maybe manslaughter. But I would want to know what happened to, let's say Shauna was like my child. Would you not want an investigation into that? The whole thing surrounding Shauna's death was actually very annoying because Shauna's death happened and they kind of like spend like an episode or 2 with Arya's kind of trauma from it and like seeing Shauna alive and things like that. You know that video where she sits up in her coffin? When I say that traumatized me, guys, I was traumatized. That was like really, really good. But then after that, that's it. Like nothing else about it ever again. Can we do something regarding that, you know? Who was hiding upstairs in the De Laurentiis house? There's an episode where we see like this guy, I'm assuming it's a guy, sorry, I just assume that men are automatically bad. We see someone standing with like a bunch of masks, but then they zoom in and like the eye is like moving. Who was that? Mona's a lair that she had. Who cleared that out? Was it the police? Or was it someone that Mona was working with? Because I think a lot of that stuff was kept by Cece maybe. So I'm assuming it was Cece. But I don't think Cece was A at that point. So who cleaned out that lair? I remember there was a scene with Jason where there was a bunch of bloodied bandages like falling out of his trash. What was that about? Were they bandages for himself? Were they bandages for other people? Was it for Ian, maybe? Because they focused on that quite a lot. They focused on Jason being quite mysterious throughout the entire show. And this was like part of it, but nothing really got said surrounding that. Who took the photo of Alison and Spencer's shadow the night that she went missing? You know, the photo of, I think it was someone, it must have been someone in the De Laurentiis house. Who took that photo?
Was it Mona?
Or like, who was that? Because A used that as blackmail, so I'm assuming it was Mona. But why would Mona have that point of view and vantage point? And why did she know to take that picture? Obviously, we have the classic, how did the mums get out of the basement? They mention oil and being naked. So I will connect the dots in my head regarding that. When Spencer was a person of interest in Alison's murder, Veronica was very much on the standpoint of like, Spencer is innocent. However, later on in the show, she tells Spencer to forget about the summer that Alice went missing because she thinks that Spencer could have something to do with it. So what's that about? Going back to Ian, and when Ian died, I guess, in the bell tower, Alison was the one to push Ian. But when Ian saw Alison, he wasn't really shocked. He wasn't really surprised. And he was very casual with his, what are you doing here? He kind of assumed she was alive this whole time. So did Ian know that she was alive? Because he just wasn't very surprised. I feel like something like that, like Alison coming back and like pushing you off like that, I feel like you would be very, like, you'd be like, sorry. I don't know, did he know that she was alive? Or like, why was he just very like underwhelmed by it? Byron tells us that the night Alison went missing, he saw Melissa talking to someone on the phone and saying, you know, what do I have to do to get your attention? Do I have to call the police? We never find out who that was. I don't really know who it could be. I'm assuming Ian, I think. But we never really got told who that was. Going back to Alison, you know the dream sequences that she had with Hannah, Emily, Aria? Did she have one with Spencer? I can't even remember. Were those real or were they fake? Because I don't know, it felt like sometimes we were led to believe that they were real, but then other times we were led to believe that it was a dream. I would have liked for them to be real, but I don't really see the possibility of them being real just because of what she says in the dream sequences. Like with Hannah, she tells Hannah that she knows who A is and she can't come back because she knows who A is. But then I don't think she knew that Mona was actually A. So there's different perspectives I take on these dream sequences, because there's part of me that's like, yeah, like they're real. And I think I want them to be real because I think it adds a lot more to the show. But also, I don't think it can make sense for them to be real, really. So that's where I'm like, I don't know where to go with that. Who gave Emily that massage? Because we are told that it's Lucas. However, when the massage took place, Lucas hadn't started to work for Mona yet. So who actually was the one to give the massage? Because I don't think it would make sense timeline-wise for it to be Lucas. Another thing that always plays on my mind as well, obviously Mona thought she killed Alison that night, but she actually killed Bethany. So when she saw Alison walking down the road, when she went to pick her up and take her to Lost Woods Resort to kind of like send her away, why was she not surprised at that? Because when they found her body, it doesn't really make sense from Mona's point of view, because they found Alison's body, but Mona saw that she was alive and sent Alison away. So did Mona not clock sooner? Because we find out during Cece's reveal, that is when when Mona finds out that it was actually Bethany that she hit. Why didn't she know that earlier? Because she knew Alison was alive, but they found her body. Like, I think from Mona's point of view, it doesn't really make sense. So I don't understand why Mona only clocked during season 6 that Bethany was the one that she killed. Well, I guess she didn't kill her. I guess Melissa did. But, like, you know what I mean? Because she knew that Allison was alive. So who did she think that the body was? We're also told the barrel that Caleb and... who is it? Caleb and Hannah find... We're told that it had Mona's bone fragments in it. But Mona was alive. So this couldn't have been a thing. When Maya moved into Allison's house, we are told, Jessica tells us that she kept Allison's room untouched and kind of like sacred. However, Maya's family moved into that house and they moved Allison's stuff out of the house. So this can't have been a thing. How would have Allison been able to have held her breath until Grunwald found her? I'm assuming Grunwald didn't find her quickly. Allison with a head injury and then having like limited oxygen supply when she's buried alive by her mum. I don't really understand where she would have, first of all, the energy to dig herself out of that because of the weight. Because the hole was very, very deep that Allison was buried in. So I feel like she wouldn't have the energy under her condition to crawl through the weight of the soil that would have been on top of her. But also, how would she have been able to hold her breath? Because Bethany died due to suffocation. So Allison would have been under the same circumstance, the same kind of situation. How would she have been able to hold her breath to keep her alive for that period of time? In season 3, Spencer and Jason find like a ankle bracelet which had like blood on it, and they turned it into the police. And like Peter Hastings made a really big deal of it, being like, yeah, like the police have been looking for this for ages, like this is such a big piece of evidence. Nothing came from it. Absolutely nothing came from it. Like, hello, this is like a big thing. Like, so during season 4 or 5, Melissa confesses to killing Bethany. However, this whole night to me doesn't make sense because so Allison is hit before Bethany and she's obviously buried in the grave where Jessica buries her, but Allison gets pulled out of the grave. However, when Melissa comes to bury Bethany, the grave is like empty and has no soil in it. But if Allison would have pulled her way out of the grave, there would still be soil in the grave. So did Melissa dig the soil out of the grave or what? Because we are led to assume that Melissa just came across Bethany's body like that and she buried her. So was the grave empty or not? Because Wilden targeting the girls. This is something I never understood because Wilden knew a lot more than what he led on to. But also Wilden investigating the murder in itself, I think, is a plot hole because Wilden had a relationship with Allison. We're led to assume that he's the one that got Allison, like, the pregnancy scare situation that happened. So does he know that investigating the murder he would also be investigating himself and could potentially lead to him being arrested or fired from his job? But also the night that Allison went missing, Jessica calls Wilden to take Cece back to Radley and to cover it up. And when Wilden's not directly told that Cece killed Allison, but I feel like any logical person would put it together that we have this girl who's distraught in tears, she's shaken up, and we have a parent who wants to cover this up. And then the next day, Allison is missing. I feel like you would have to connect the dots there. So him investigating the murder and investigating the girls doesn't really make sense to me because I feel like he knows what happened. Like, he's not directly told, but I feel like he knows. So I don't really understand that. Was he trying to investigate the murder to get some evidence to frame the girls? Or what was that whole kind of situation about? What was Ren's reasoning really for being so suspicious? Because he didn't find Alex until a bit later on. And when he found Alex, he was kind of written out of the show. He wasn't really involved in the show. But the early seasons of Ren, he was very, very suspicious. And I really, really like theories surrounding Ren. I think Ren being Charles could have been a really, really good story. But also, Ren was very, very suspicious. Like, there was a lot of things against Ren. I think Ren was supposed to be Charles until they wrote Cece into it personally. But there was a lot against Ren. So what was his reasoning for being suspicious like that? Because, I mean, we know that he was helping Cece get to see Mona. But apart from that, like, he wasn't working with A.
How did, like, no one know about Charles De Laurentiis from, like, the outside perspective? Like, did no one notice that Jessica was pregnant for, like, 9 months? How did, like, no one know that, like, Charles, like, existed? Type of thing. Why didn't Cece target her dad? And like, because Cece's whole kind of motive, like, yes, she had motive with the girls where they said they felt more free without Alison and things like that, but her overall story is about how badly she got treated kind of by her dad and like never accepted or anything like that. But there was like not really, apart from like when she like knocked him unconscious during the reveal, there wasn't really any time where she targeted her dad. I feel like her dad would be a target. I feel like it would have made sense maybe if Cece during her time as A maybe killed her dad or something like that. But there wasn't really anything from Cece regarding Kenneth or anything like that, which I feel like that's Cece's whole story. And Kenneth should get what he deserves. Why was the dollhouse on the Campbell farm? But also the whole Andrew situation, what was the point in that? Do you remember when Andrew was a suspect for like 2 episodes? Like, there was nothing really surrounding Andrew for them to do all of that. Like, sorry. Like, they did way too much regarding that. And I think the writers maybe wanted us to be a bit like shocked or a bit like knocked off from like our theories when Andrew was brought into the situation. I didn't really see a point for Andrew to be a suspect for like those 2 episodes. Like, I don't think it really added much to the story, and I never felt like the suspicion regarding him was ever really backed up or ever really like, I don't know, I never really got into it. How did Alex kill Ren? Obviously, we're led to believe, we are told Alex killed Ren and turned him into the little necklace. That was kind of iconic actually at the end of the day. But I would have liked to have known, how did Ren die? When did he die? How did he die? Does Melissa know that he died? Because he was kind of with Melissa at that point. Like, when did he die? I feel like for him to get turned into the necklace, like, he would have had to have died quite a while back. So what was the final thing for Alex to be like, right, I'm gonna kill you? And what was Ren gonna tell people about Alex? Like, I would have liked to have known that a bit more. Like, when was the point where things blew up and she was like, I have to get rid of you? There would have had to have been a reason for it. So like, what was that point? How did we get to that point? How did he die? When did he die? Like, just like those type of things. And overall, my last thing, the timeline of Alex being A does not make any sense, because we're told that when Ren met her, it was also the same time that Ren and Melissa were a thing. So did Melissa not know Alex was there? Him and Alex spent a lot of time together. So I feel like Melissa would get very suspicious and would eventually find out about Alex, but she doesn't know about Alex. So the timeline doesn't really make sense surrounding when Alex came into the picture, when Ren found out, and stuff like that. Like, it just doesn't make any sense, because Melissa would have had to have known, or would have some inkling, or would be very suspicious of Ren. What was that entire thing about? So that is it for this video. And bearing in mind, we have not covered probably half of the plot holes / unanswered questions
that this show provides us. So if you would like a part 2 of ones I've not mentioned, please do let me know. If I'm wrong on any of them and there is actually an answer and it's just like gone over my head, please let me know as well. But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.